is Ruby. I'm not sure if she's a dog or a cat, but she comes out here and helps me with barn chores. This building right here used to be the Watson one-room schoolhouse. It was abandoned by the town in the mid-20s. The new school was built in 1926 or so, 27, and the town hung on to the little properties for just a little bit longer, and then my grandfather bought the house from the town. It was a one-room schoolhouse, and my father and his siblings and my grandparents lived there for a number of years until the early 1940s when they bought the farm. When I was a kid, every year my dad and I would take out these big storm windows. They were basically another whole set of windows that went on the outside of the house. There were metal hangers on the top and bottom, and you'd set these big storm windows in. And eventually we stopped doing that, and Dad would cut some sheets of plastic and run some really thin, well, he would run boards through his table saw and then make really thin strips, and then we would staple it around the window and put the plastic up. And the plastic, we reused it every year as long as we could. This house had the old kind of windows too, with the weights inside the casings, and it's almost like a clothesline with a pulley that goes up, and the weights are these long tubular lead weights, and there's one on each side that holds the window in place. And that was before they had all the new latching and everything. What would happen after a while is that rope that held the weight, it was like cloth rope, almost like clothesline rope, and it would fray or rot and break, and then the weight would drop down inside the window casing. So you'd have to take the whole window apart. Sometimes the windows actually had a little hatchway with 2 screws, and it was oval shaped, and you take the 2 screws out. Such was the case with this house 8 years ago, until I had all vinyl replacement windows installed. It saved a lot of money as far as heating in the winter. Efficiency Maine had a program a few years ago too, where they came out and insulated the attic, and they sprayed foam around my foundation. The foundation in the cellar is stacked rocks with granite on top, and they sprayed foam all around it and then painted it white, and now it looks like you're going into a refrigerator or a freezer. I'll show you that in a minute, but what we're going to do right now is put some plastic on this front door. The storm door that was on it got destroyed, and I had a screen door on it for the summer, and the windstorm we had recently ripped that off, and I don't have time right now to rip the casing all apart and redo this door. So actually add a door. I don't have a door anymore, it's broken. So we're just going to put some sheet plastic, some 4mm plastic around it, and we're going to do that right now. In the spring I'll come back out here and do this right, but this whole inside of the door frame, all the casing is all screwed up. So I've got to get this pulled out and cut that all in the right way. Probably the header has to come out. I replaced the frame on this side, but I have to do the same on this side. What I don't want to do is be in the habit of putting 100 million staples in there, because, well, it'll screw up the wood and I have to dig them all out. I think that speaks for itself why I don't want to do that. But that'll get me through the winter, and I'll address that in the spring. I have to take the sill on the shed right here. It's all rotten out on the bottom. The sill's just sitting on rocks, and I'll have to dig it out and put some cement under there. It's got a cement floor, but all they did was just clean it out and back a mixer up here and let it rip. So the walls aren't sitting on concrete, they're just sitting on rocks, and then there's concrete in the middle. Today we're gonna assemble a generator that we picked up from my mom. She's not doing wood anymore. She's 86 and finally decided that the wood stove was a little bit out of her reach. She's got a heat pump coming. But anyway, we got some cold fronts coming, and we can't have her up there with she loses power, we can't have that. So we're gonna put that together. But with the farm, the whole day, everything that you want to do is always framed on both ends by chores. So I have to do those first, and then we'll go do the other things I have to do. I have this antique shelf behind me. It's missing a brace, and I need to put one up here on this end. So we're just going to do that real quick, and then we'll go back to something else. It's not really warm out here in the workshop today, so I'm going to try to do this as quickly as possible. So I need a board 2.5 by my hands are cold, so it's tough. 42 1/8. 2.5 by 42 1/8. It's 42 1/8, but I just want to double check. Now that I've gone through all that work to make the board, I don't want to screw it up. Perfect. All right, so I'm gonna put this up on the bench because I gotta put some glue on it, and I'm gonna show you how we do that. This top shelf is kind of warped down a little bit, and that's because it hasn't had the cross support endwise to distribute the load correctly. So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna put glue on the board and then screw it, but we'll have to do it a little careful to make sure that we don't split anything and we can pull the shelf back into shape. Some people will use a glue brush or something else, and I just take my finger and spread it out. And what you want is the glue to be on as much of that mating surface as possible. But when you squish it together, you don't want it oozing out like a grilled cheese sandwich, because that glue will not take stain. And then trying to get back in there and sand that off is going to be not a lot of fun. So I've got a good side and a bad side, like I mentioned before. I'm going to start on this end, and then what I'm going to do next is I'll squish the board back up and connect that. You just want to get those screws flush. If you cram them in there too tight, you'll split the board, and then you've got another problem that you don't want to address, especially when it's this cold out. Alright, I'm going to flip this end for end, and then we'll do the other side. Just be very careful when you do this because this board is not supported. So you have to support it. I gotta take the hammer and tap this a little bit. So the issue I've got right now is this whole thing has really warped on me. So trying to bring that back into square is not going to be super fun. So I'm going to have to go inch by inch, I think. One more on the bottom. I traded a few extra Farmall parts I had, a sickle bar knife, and what else? Oh, a couple of leveling legs for a Super C that I had superfluous amounts of. This right here will fit on my 78 Cub. It has a fast hitch, so you need this special U-bar right here to go on the back. I guess you don't. I guess you could, if you had an extra horseshoe, you could hook that on the front, but this is the part that came with the plow right here. And then here's the A-frame. Here's the rest of it, the hooks up on the side of the tractor. Snow foils down here. And it's still got all the original decals on it. It even has the serial number still on the side of it. Right up on the right there. So I want to get this loaded up in the bucket and go put this under the barn. Just touch up a couple places, but I think I want to leave it original because it has all the decals and it's still original paint, and it's only original once, so I'm not going to mess with it too much. It was supposed to be in the 50s today. It ended up low to mid 40s with wind. I I guess I'm not going to complain. There were some tornadoes that went across 4 states, and so I've been thinking a lot about those people and their families, and I don't know what to say. I just feel really bad. I'm going to leave you with some parting shots of the cows, and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks for watching.